Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, with the greatest player of all time, the Zerg in the red, the finisher. It's Serral, facing off against one of the few players who even has a shot at him, the Italian Stallion, the Zerg in the blue. We have Reynor in a best of 5 Zerg versus Zerg showdown. And whether you're rooting for the best of us, or maybe one of the best of the rest of us, it'd be amazing, before we get started, if you could smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. Help me count the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? Serral versus Reynor is not a mere match. 1,679 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. Nope. Probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Zerg versus Zerg, a knife fight in a phone booth between the two players who probably know each other better than any two other players in the game. The amount of high-profile matches they've faced off is in the dozens. The amount of lower profile is probably in the thousands. They're teammates as well, and both, of course, playing Zerg, which means it's all about the details. That's where the devil is, and you can find them in the production tab. We're going to be looking at it a lot more than, I guess, your more typical match, especially in the early game, where every larva, every drone, every decision matters. The economies are going to be lower, the stakes are going to be raised, and mistakes will be punished even more dramatically. The top 2 Zerg players in the world right now, especially that now that Dark is out of commission because of his military commission, Reynor has historically been the only Zerg who has managed to scratch Serral, to make him bleed, and possibly upset him in some of these major tournaments. So I think Reynor's speed versus Serral's strategy will be the story of the day. Not that Reynor doesn't have one, it's just he relies on his level of micro that, honestly, Serral has said in the past, Reynor and Clem, almost impossible to keep up with. So you just have to think a couple steps ahead. And speaking of, there's a whole lot of steps right now as the first dozen or 2 dozen Zerglings headed across the map. Serral dipping into the potential drone count and instead going for early aggression. Reynor will have a baneling nest quicker. Serral's following this up with drones and buys a little bit of time to get into the main base. The first set of Zerglings could target down a few drones as well. The banelings, good zone defense, as is the Queen. The Knitting Needle, surprisingly effective against smaller targets like Lings and Banes, and really, the Queen's at home is your only defender's advantage. Otherwise, creep's creep. It doesn't discriminate. Units still move faster on creep no matter who's, I guess, sourcing it. Okay, locally sourced creep or enemy creep, it doesn't matter. It is the creep tumors that do provide vision, so that's kind of a relevant part, but once you hop onto it, there are a few situations, mostly muta-related, and not relevant now as the first Baneling connects. Coming in from the north side, trying to box out with the Zerglings, but a Baneling gets through the defenses and into the mineral line. Serral not holding the door, and now the Baneling's still trickling in. Though a couple more will be semi-wasted. Reynor able to turn it around, and he's been building drones behind. Both players... Wow, another Baneling. Serral ends up losing 4 drones. One of the Queens getting surrounded, but Banelings on either side. The knitting crew is brought together and will be enough of a bulwark against the Banes to target them down easily. Now we've graduated smoothly into the Roach phase after a bit of a bumpy start, but neither player taking critical damage, and honestly, I'd be a bit embarrassed for them if they did. The reason you don't see Ling Bane as an end goal, like you might on the ladder, or you did years ago, is not because it's not good, it's because players have gotten too good. At this level, it simply won't do game-ending damage unless they make a huge mistake. And both these players, I'm sure, have way too much respect for one another to expect that. But the first roaches are coming across. Reynor with 5 drones less, but a bunch more units on the field. He's got 28 Zerglings to 2. The roach counts are semi-even. He's got the Queens to back him up. Baneling zoning out. The roaches just drooling all over one another, and not really in a fun way. The Banelings looking to get a big bust off, but for now, they'll do enough to zone it out. And meanwhile, Zerglings get into the main. Predator drones will come off the line to deal with it, but he's still going to lose a few more. The end result? Reynor has a lair on the way behind. He has +1 ranged attack at almost exactly the same time. But so far, Serral is mostly fine. 2 lairs. He's human. A definite mistake there. There's no reason to have 2 lairs on the way. Serral cancels the one at the natural, realizing that he's wasted a bit of his potential. Oh, just money in general. But we're smoothly moving up to the lair tech phase, as neither player able to land a critical blow and neither really attempting to do so. This is the knife fight in a phone booth part of things, where you're just constantly trying to shiv one another, but you know they have a knife, and usually you know exactly where that knife is coming from. If you can be fast enough or surprise them with the next move, that's when you get damage done. And damage will be done. You notice on both sides, losing drones, losing units. But so far, mostly evening out. There's a Spire on the way for Reynor, right as he's coming across the map with roaches, giving him a lot of it. Brendan, no! Get in the door! I told you not to go on that diet plan! Shut up, Susan! Don't shame me! The roaches and Ravagers, and Serral commits to 3 Ravagers, which will help defend, but is a lot of gas at this stage of the game. And a few Zerglings in the main will draw some of the forces away. Serral's down 20 drones! It is an economic disaster that he may never financially recover from. And he has no idea. I mean, he might have his suspicions about the Spire, but just a few mutas could turn the entire tide right now. Reynor has roach speed on the way. Serral did not bother. I think Serral's about to find out about that Spire. And I'm surprised he doesn't take some pot shots at the Overlord as well. But the muted den will be scouted. Now it's an awkward time. It's almost completed. I don't see a reason for Reynor to cancel it at this stage. Just the threat of mutas is sometimes enough to compound your lead. And when you're ahead, get more ahead. Unless you can go kill them. I mean, the game's kind of hard, but Hydraless Den is on the way. I think Serral suspected it in the first place. Interesting, he did not commit to the roaches because he did not have a guaranteed win. Even though he probably would have more roaches, and he has a few Ravagers mixed in, he doesn't have more roaches, for one. How many mutas? 2. 2 brothers. All right, Flappy boys. 2 more mutas than we see in most matchups, but these are the Overlord hunters. All they're doing is looking at the Overlord. Each of them split off and kills. Yeah, well, I know it does more than emotional damage, but too bad. Serral not even bothering with Overlord speed. I think he just assumes that's the tax of mutas. All right, he has mutas. He gets to kill the Overlords. It's not really worth the effort at this point to try to save him. The sheer investment in the Spire, 200, is enough that, well, you're going to get a few OVs. You're not going to worry about countering that. It's just Serral now is forced into the Hydraless. He's forced into a defensive position. Now, I didn't expect anything different in this series. I expect Serral will be on defense the majority of the time, but he thrives. Well, in general, but specifically when given an opportunity to strike back. Both players maxed out, but Reynor definitely still with map control. He's got the Mass Roach Ravager. Hydra's on paper? What? He's oversupplying? 208 supply. He's breaking the game! Jimmy, write that down. What do you mean we've used that title 400 times? Reynor goes up to 208 supply in order to just pop out a few more units. One of the few ways he might be able to break through outright. But Hydras are good. They're just not as reliable. All right, the Ravagers knocked down an Overlord. Both players supply block, though Reynor, because he's technically breaking the limits of the game. A Baneling bust to just roll right through. Reynor has more money in the bank. He's mined 1,200 more minerals. The Baneling's going for the roaches. He doesn't care what he hits as long as he hits a big clump. Trying to get some of the Hydras in the back. Holding for now, but Reynor busting through. The corrosive biles scatter throughout. The Roach Hydra and the Banelings actually find a surprising amount of Hydra connections, and Reynor, with his swell of Banes to bust through the front lines, the reinforcements are in the mail, but they're not yet delivered for Serral, and he's going to have to contend with the Roach Ravager nearly a critical mass. He should have enough to turn it around, and he has 1-1 against just +1 attack. That's a very important part of this, though not as important as the attack upgrade advantage potential. Burrow move is now done. Serral turns it around for now. Burrow move allows him to obviously move those roaches well burrowed, and they regen more quickly as well. But Reynor keeps streaming across the map. More roaches, more Ravagers, forces the micro back. The Hydra count is down to exactly 0. The Queens are once again pulled onto the front lines. The Roaches will exchange fire. Some random corrosive bows thrown out. Any amount of time spent not attacking is the important part. And look at the supply. Serral on the edge of breaking. The Muta is here, also participating in the group activity. But 2-1 for Serral against just +1 attack. He burrow moves forward. I'm sure Serral knows his advantage. And the attack upgrades are so important in Zerg versus Zerg. I cannot stress the mathematical conundrum right now. In that, just like that, Reynor goes from a 20 army supply lead to dead even. Serral survives with those long-term options, the upgrades, the burrow move, the sustainability Zerg. Whereas Reynor tried to overwhelm him with the Roaches. It wasn't enough. I'm gonna sound cliche. Alright? I don't care. Any other Zerg would have died. Serral fought and backed off at only the moments when he knew he wouldn't be able to trade well. You cannot run. You must tactically withdraw in these fights. The Roach Ravager will run you down and take better and better trades. The momentum will continue to swing. But he just kind of kept giving him speed bumps until he had those upgrades done. Serral sacrificed the few for the good of the many. And he's not out of the woods yet. There's still plenty of trees around him that he has to avoid, but the burrow move Roaches give opportunity to turn it around. Reynor's got 69 drones, which is a very nice economy in Zerg versus Zerg. Roaches are not expensive. They're the cheapest unit per supply pretty much in the game. Aptly named. Both players going for an infestation, but thinking about hive tech. But it's a long way off. Blinding Cloud and Lurkers are the ultimate late game that we rarely see in ZVZ. Because usually they find a way to bludgeon one another. How? He got 3 Roaches by still, despite... Reynor just didn't see it. Serral sold it perfectly. Reynor saw what he wanted to see, which was the group of Roaches trying to back off. Somehow he slips in 3 of them. Another few boxed out. There's still the Spire, which would be a massive... At this point, it's not worth it. The Hydras would trade too well with the Mutas. He built 2 Mutas. He got the Overlord kills. He forced the Hydras out. He dictates the pace of the game. Hive is on the way alongside the Lurker Den here for Reynor. I expect the same things out of Serral. So far, he hasn't gone down that route. Just targeting a few more drones down with the Roaches scurrying back and forth. They're both gonna... so evenly matched. 7 drones dead to the Roaches. Meanwhile, middle of the map, a few Hydras mixed in. 2-1 upgrades for either side. It's all about angling. It's about corrosive bile, which is not supposed to do damage. Whenever it does, that's a miracle. But it's supposed to delay. It's supposed to distract, and it's supposed to reduce the overall DPS. They're dueling in the center. The corrosive bile is being thrown out on the ramp. Serral manages to get 10 more drones. Reynor at a casual 2,000 APM, which, yeah, you know, a light day for him. Serral averaging 460 to Reynor's 100 more. But Serral, ever the efficient Zerg. Still, similar supplies. Well, obviously, they're both at 200. They're both going to stay at 200. The larva in the bank is also going to be critical. They're going to lose units rapidly in these fights, but not so rapidly they can't rebuild them. The ability to refill and either defend or attack, or further the attack, could be the defining characteristic. 2 more Viper battery packs on the way. Is that what he's doing? Or is he actually going triple upgrade? Wow. Triple upgrades. And the burrow move Roaches are going... Contaminate on +3 attack. I love it. Contaminate actually very useful in Zerg versus Zerg. I mean, when the upgrades are dead even, anything to delay, 20-second delay, could be the game. The armies are near... Well, Serral's army is actually significantly less value right now. Does Reynor adding some lurkers in. He catches some of the lurkers will zone out one of the flanks. And a bunch of burrow move Roaches are underneath looking for an opportunity to jump the army. They're not finding it. Corrosive Bow. Micros away, but he doesn't have adaptive talents. He can't reposition those lurkers easily. Lurkers on either side. Going to be slicing through the front lines, doing terrible, terrible damage against the roaches. Getting caught up against the edge. Serral with a mediocre A move there. Definitely a mistake, but Reynor outmaneuvering him. Reynor finds his way into the third with a big chunk of his army. Has to be careful not to get outflanked himself. But wait, who's flanking who? Reynor going to be losing a lot of this, but I think he has the momentum as he swings in again towards Serral's third to the north. Swings out over to the west side and splits off a few burrow move roaches. But Serral has held for now. He's got 1,600 gas to just 800 in the bank. He's cutting off a few more roaches. How much larva? Similar, 16, 17. Both players. It's going to come down to the lurkers. Trying to position against the lurkers is a full-time job, and they're both going to have lurkers in multiple locations. So, thankfully, they have enough APM that they could essentially be 10 gold players simultaneously. But lurkers for both players. Serral actually has less workers, but he has more in the bank and more army supply. So, he's kind of turned this on its head. I don't think Reynor ever had a huge advantage, except maybe that roach timing. But Serral's leaned on the upgrades, and now he's leaning on the sheer army supply. Oh, the lurkers, though! He catches some of the units on the field, but the lurkers will be caught in turn. Neither player opting for Vipers yet. Kind of surprised that we don't have any. But maintaining the lurk... Oh, oh, it hurts. It hurts. I'm not sure who it hurt more, but a few lurkers taken down, but a whole bunch of the Roach Hydra is eviscerated by those... Reynor dodges out of the way, dodges right back into Corrosive Bow, but there's no lurkers here for Serral. He's gonna struggle to move forward. Target's down one, but even a single lurker adds so much damage. I cannot stress how much you need lurkers to fight lurkers. The overwhelming number of units might do it, but Reynor's ahead 30 supply, and he's moving forward. He has lurker range done. They both have lurker burrow speed. He's in the third. He's in the natural. There's lurkers in between everything else. Serral's going to retreat to the high ground, but Reynor's closing in. He has an overwhelming amount. The lurkers will dodge back out of the corrosive bile, but only a few remain, trying to get a little bit closer. Hydra's popping out of the eggs. The lurker line is holding for now, but only just takes out a Hydra. Lurker's overrun by Serral, and Reynor will be forced back for now. But Serral lost his 5th base. He lost his army supply, and he's struggling to rebuild it. He's now down 25. They both have 3-2 upgrades, plus 3 missile attack, and plus 2 carapace. Neither player has opted for Vipers, but the lurker positioning and the initiative has gone towards Reynor, and he's just run with it, trying to use that speed to effectively overwhelm Serral and make it, even if he's perfect and efficient in these fights, he can't be that efficient in multiple fights simultaneously. And this is Serral's biggest weakness to the arguably younger player. Well, not arguably younger, but definitely younger and faster players. He just can't always be everywhere at once. I know it sounds wrong, but it's true. Serral struggling. Does he? Wait. They both have adaptive talents. Yeah. Very, very important. The first Viper will be built by Reynor, but neither player able to refill that supply. Reynor holding on to his 5th base. A whole bunch of burrow move roaches. I don't think Serral has any idea about this. The burrow move roaches can burrow through the lurkers as long as they don't have detection, but Reynor losing a lot of Roach Hydra as he splits his own roaches. He's in the 3rd. He's cutting him off at the natural. He's still killing drones at the 4th base, or 5th, whatever base that is. 6 drones dead. More lurkers coming back to defend. Serral's still trying to keep some pressure on with lurkers of his own, but Reynor is everywhere all the time. Those roaches and lurkers and drones burrowed. They can't see each other underground because of, you know, the ground, but the Roach Hydra trying to deal with it. 8 more drones dead. Serral down to 43. His economy. Reynor, no! Reynor turned the wrong corner. He came to the wrong neighborhood. Blinding Cloud would be good, but he'll just move his lurkers. Like, Abduct is a more guaranteed option. Yeah, you can't just Blinding Cloud unless you know you can force them into a fight. Good choice by Reynor to start using Abduct, but Serral, again, he finds, like, he's right around the corner every time. Just a moment to breathe. That's it. Moment's over. Like and subscribe and back into the action. The drones! He could just take down the rocks here and deny the gold mineral patches. That single Viper, adding a second one. Right now, Serral has a Viper. We might see some Viper trades, which are some of the most hilarious things in the game, where they can abduct one another. Oh, get over! Whoa! Just walks away. Somehow No. What if abducted damage? Rotos players would be very upset. I don't... Alright, lurkers on either side. Changelings, keeping track. Serral has lost 4,000 less resources, including 2,000 less gas. And he's needed to, as he's been down on economy pretty much the entire game. I take it back. Well, Reynor's economic lead has been more meaningful. He's mined 3,000 more minerals and 2,000 more gas. The Spore Crawler's trying to zone out. Serral moving in. And, well, Vipers on either side. Blinding Cloud might find an opportunity here. The standoff. Drags in one. The Viper. Serral holding on to it. Another lurker. Harpooned. But another army from Serral. Over to the left side, and Reynor doesn't really have a response. Reynor consuming in the midst of the fight. Serral repositioning. These lurkers can't be engaged like this. And suddenly... Oh no, the rocks! No! Oh my! Oh! Serral just dropped the rocks on his own face and loses a couple lurkers and like 8 roaches. It could have been worse, but certainly it could have been better. And he Indiana Jones'd himself. And suddenly, well, he took out the base. He's gonna yank in some lurkers. Reynor gets a couple lurkers out of it. And so far... No, there's another... Some lurker on lurker violence here. But Serral is now up 30 supply. He's been so efficient with the lurkers. Has he even used any of the spells on his Viper? I don't know. But Reynor's getting desperate to find actual income. Serral, when he lost his 5th base, it wasn't that critical. Blinding Cloud? No, he just yanks out a couple. 1, 2, easily taken down. Nidus Worm in the... This is awkward. You should be able to consume enemy Zerg buildings. Yeah, why not? It doesn't taste very good. But Serral's coming all the way back. It's a decoy. Reynor with a bit of a desperation move, but he manages to drag most of Serral's units completely out of position. The Roach Hydra. Serral's up 20 supply. He's got 3-3 done. A lurker on the right, an army on the left. And I think are there any lurkers back at home? Does it matter? Reynor can't afford to lose any more economy. Oh, it's a disaster. He loses another chunk of roaches around the corner. He's going to try to break the army on the left side before Serral comes back. Blinding Cloud. Yanks in another couple. Get over here. Double kill on the lurkers, but Serral is solidifying his position. It's hard to pinpoint where it even went wrong, but it certainly seems to have gone right for Serral. Reynor seemed to be everywhere at once, but just bleeding out a couple too many units, left, right, and center. Serral somehow manages to be significantly more cost-effective in a mirror matchup with pretty much the same units. He now has enough Vipers to really just shut down any attack. Reynor going to try a desperate counter, but 3 lurkers. Serral only has 1, which is kind of crazy how efficiently they've murdered one another. But GG! Serral takes it. 20 lurkers dead apiece. 250 to 217 roaches. Wow. I mean, did somebody call for an exterminator? What a brawl. Both players using all those mobility tools. From the burrow move roaches, we saw some Nidus. I guess we didn't see any dropper lords. But Reynor just getting a little bit ahead of himself. He had more army supply, but the upgrades carry Serral to victory. That and an endless supply of patience. That is another thing that I think Serral has over Reynor. Reynor, it's a blessing and a curse to be so good. All right, this is the backhanded compliment. Reynor is so fast, so furious, and so effective, 99.9, repeating of course, % of the time, that he doesn't have to play 2 steps ahead, because he's already 2 steps ahead of you. But Serral managed, like, he showed him just enough. Any of those fights could have gone the other way. Any of them could have ended up going in Reynor's favor. Like a couple corrosive bows there, a little bit of miss micro or better micro. It's so hard to pinpoint where it went wrong. It was probably off screen, a few slices of lurkers that just ate into the critical mass. Also, another one of the... Hey, Bill. Hey, Bob. Wait, you can understand me? Yeah, we're both Zerg. This is weird. Agreed. Silence? Silence. Sorry, I backed out for a moment. But another one of the little spoken and honestly not as relevant except in mere matchups where the economy, the worker count is lower, is worker transfer efficiency. We're going to start throwing some acronyms in to really sound like I've got a robust understanding of the inherent synergy required in order to maximize the economic output of the Zerg. So that way you can really incentivize top tier play and streamline the whole throughput process. And that way you don't really have to find any workarounds for your economy, but instead can rely on the minimalist amount of hatchery production, which then the overhead cost and the overlord cost is not nearly as high. What I'm trying to say is having the bases to transfer your drones to is very important. Again, it's because they're sitting at 50, 60 drones. Having a fresh base with close mineral patches to mine from ups your efficiency significantly more than it would in most other matchups. Like, usually you're looking at 80 drones at 4 bases. Here, 50 to 60. Where those drones are mining matters a lot more. Also, if you want to increase your efficiency with the algorithm and have it deliver you content that you approve of on a regular basis, make sure to enable liking and subscribing. We can check out those quarterly reports together. Check out my LinkedIn and my Dronely fans. Reynor, with the aggression. A couple dozen Zerglings on the way. A Baneling nest explicitly hidden. And yes, that's how I'm going to say it. When you're busting from a hidden place, explicitly hidden. And of course now, Serral knows. The alarm bells are ringing. He saw the Zerglings coming across. He's trying to set up his defenses. But by the time he gets there, the Zerglings are already at the door. Wow, the creep tumor helping to zone things out. The drones are pulled off the line. The queens, Brenda, hold! Hold! I'm holding, Susan. Shut up! Banelings! Oh my, wave 2 comes through! And he busts right in! Oh no! It's a disaster for Serral. But Reynor only has 23 drones. If Serral can survive, all he needs to do is survive. The Banelings are going to be targeted. Reynor with just one of them. It's about to... Gets canceled at the last moment. A few roaches on the way. Actually, this is a bit of a disaster. I take it all back. Reynor. He didn't... Serral lost the queens. He lost the Zerglings. But he didn't lose the drones. He has 3 bases with roaches on the way. He has a drone lead. Losing the queens is going to hurt, but because he has roaches, it's not as critical. Somehow, again, Serral has taken superficial damage, but, well, he's still coming across the map. The Zerglings, they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming, and Serral was a bit inefficient in spreading out his roaches, as the Zerglings got a near full surround and was able to pick them apart. He's not stopping. There are more Zerglings in production. Do or die. All in. He needs to get more damage done. He knows that for a scientific fact right now. And if he doesn't kill at least 5 or 6 drones, there's no way that he's going to be able to withstand Serral's counter. So Reynor coming in again with another round. 4 Overlords in production for Serral. We actually got pretty hard supply blocked here. That's a lot of time not building army. Reynor trying to sneak a couple drones, but he's still far down economically, not even considering that 3rd hatchery. Oh my. Another queen. The monarchy being ripped to shreds, I say. An evolution chamber. Serral adding on a Bane Nest of his own. Creep tumor, so he can connect the creep between his relatively vulnerable bases. 5 more drones on the way. Reynor's going to take the drone lead, but again, it's about how much has already been mined. Serral has mined 1,000 more minerals, about 100 more gas. And his standing roach army right now is quite dangerous. He already has 16 roaches. +1 carapace is on the way. Reynor, I think, is going to continue building Zerglings. He doesn't have time nor economy to really get to roaches right now. He's going to try the 3rd hatchery. He has the drones overall. He needs to trade as much as he can. Because the roach ball, if the roaches can cover each other because the roach ball is thick enough, even with banelings to do potential splash, at some point there's just a critical mass. The roaches, there won't be enough surface area for the Zerglings in order to break through the roaches. I think Serral understands that as well. But Serral is now effectively all in. It is 38 drones for Reynor to just 30 for Serral. Make that 42 to 30. He cancels. Does he cancel the roach one? I don't think so, but spine crawlers are on the way. Reynor knows if he holds this, he's in good shape. But here we go. All in after all in. Knife shiv after knife shiv. ZVZ once again. The spines are halfway done. +1 carapace is still 30 seconds out. Reynor is hitting this timing like a sledgehammer right now. Serral, rather, is hitting it like a sledgehammer as he breaks through into the natural, the banelings. One of them in the mineral line, just move commanding them back and forth, maximizing the amount of time they're able to zone out the Zerglings. And I don't see how Reynor survives this. And neither does Reynor. Serral takes it, just like that. Match point. So just builds up the roach count. Reynor, he needed to get more done. Very simply. He needed more damage. And he didn't find it. It would have been a miracle to recover. It would have taken a massive mistake out of Serral. Something that doesn't happen very often in order to drag that one back. There just simply was too much momentum. And it looked good for a second, but that's Serral in a nutshell. It looked good for a second, and then you spend another minute, you look back, and how is he ahead on economy and army? How does this keep happening? The arrow was pretty clear. He did sacrifice the queens so the drones would survive, which, my babies, but I think it was a good attempt. I wouldn't be surprised if Reynor tries it again. Just throw it up. It's one of those things that you show at the front like it's a normal build. I think Serral was actually fooled by it a bit. Part of the reason it didn't quite break through is because Reynor hit it so long and Serral had enough back at home to defend eventually, but You miss 100% of the Bane buffs you don't take. There's something like that. Hatch burst. Pull behind. Note these players. Honestly, I wish I could keep up with the exact details, like the timings, but getting even close. So much of it is tiny little adjustments that are happening constantly. Even from the timing and pathing of the Overlord tells you some things. Or could send the wrong message. Alright, Overlord's playing telephone doesn't sound like a compelling drama, but who knows? You know, I bet they gossip a lot. They literally have nothing else to do. They're literally bags of hot air, so... Enough about your mother. Zergling speed on the way, still 2 in gas. 2 in gas on the other side. Enough to get the Baneling nest, but still, a bit more mineral income. Now, we have just a few moments, so you usually don't see mirror matchups on the channel because YouTube knows, and it doesn't show them to people. Pretty much Serral is the exception. Serral, usually bullying other Zergs and everyone else, but is your best chance to not ruin the algorithm. I wish it wasn't true. I get it. I don't blame the people. I blame the algorithm. But know that if you're seeing a mirror matchup, that isn't Serral. Obviously, it's Serral, so that's an exception to all rules, including balancing Zerg, but it's an order of magnitude better than the already incredibly heavily curated matches that we have otherwise. So, you might have to go out of your way to find it because YouTube will not promote it. You can literally see the amount of times it shows it to people, even before like an hour. It'll be like 50% to 2/3 of any other random video. To which I say, 1, how do you know? And 2, stop judging. But I guess it's borne out over time. But here we are. It's all on the line. Reynor has reverse swept Serral before. Honestly, one of the best players under pressure. I don't think it really affects him, but sometimes he'll be consistent in his aggression. Either way. One Bane tries to come up. The Queens will protect the Lings. Behind it, Reynor's already got +1 ranged attack. +1 ranged attack, by far superior to +1 Carapace in Roach versus Roach. So the +1 ranged attack upgrade allows Roaches to kill Roaches in about 2 shots less, and they kill Zerglings in 2 hits, as opposed to 1. No, as opposed to 3. 1 less. So that's a significant amount less time to kill outright Zerglings. But +1 Carapace, I believe, negates that for the Lings, but it doesn't negate both hits for the Roaches. Generally, attack upgrades are good on ranged units, more often than not. But the Carapace is, if you want Lings and Roaches, well, the Carapace covers all of them. So, I think it should cover Spines and Spores, too, but I digress. They're kind of units, right? Like, if it works for Queens and Spines and Spores are at the same speed, I didn't... Just saying. Reynor's at 54 drones. He's got a lair on the way. Looks like he's masking a +1 Roach speed timing. He's trying to bait some Roaches out of Serral right now, and it's working. Serral has 48 Roaches and no lair. Reynor actually built way too many drones. Uh-oh. He's got 60 drones and a Spire on the way. Oh, no. Well, he's going to have +1 ranged attack done. But he's still building drones. He does not know that Serral's still on a hatch tech. Oh, it could be bad. Four spine crawlers on the way. +1 ranged attack is required. He's not bothering. He canceled the Spire. He's not bothering with speed. Both players will have their upgrades finishing. We'll see if that upgrade in 5 spine crawlers, a whole chiropractor's office of spines right now. But at least here they mean something. But roaches, ravagers. The ravager's going to make it difficult, especially because there's no speed upgrade. The spines in the third base as well, anticipating the attempt at the run by. But that +1 attack is everything right now. Scatters out some more corrosive bow. The shotgun blast down the center. But a choke point between the Roach Warren and the Baneling Nest, helping out a lot. And Reynor does have more economy. Serral trying to snipe off the Roach Warren, but it's definitely not worth it if he just loses his army. Another Roach Warren is rebuilt. There will be a little bit of downtime, but Reynor still has the supply. Serral building his lair behind, but backing off somewhat. Another wave of Ravagers after gunning down one of the Overlords. So far, between the upgrades and the Spine Crawler preparation, Reynor is held. But Serral still has more army supply, still has that +1 Carapace. He's knocking down Overlords, forcing Reynor to spend more and more on bringing them back. And the Spine Crawler's helping thin out the Zerglings dramatically. The Corrosive Biles parting the Blue Sea here, but I think the Spines are making all the difference. Without the Spine Crawlers, Serral would have broken through. But with them, Reynor's holding. Banelings get one of the Spines. I have bonus damage against buildings, but the Spire is nearly complete. The Overlord casually glides out of the way, as it does. The Spire will be spotted as it finishes. Unfortunately, Serral's caught up in workers. Whoop. But Reynor's already mined 1,200 more minerals and 300 more gas. And Serral will have to build a Hydra deck. He's kind of forced into a defensive posture. And this isn't the semi-even money game of game 1, but instead, he has to be back at his base. Okay, he can't exert any pressure at all. Reynor can just take another base, and he can it's going to be almost impossible for Serral to scout because the Mutas will shut down Overlords, and the Roaches and Ravagers will make sure no ground units get by easily. So, the question for Serral will be, is he going mass Muta or just going to Roaches? He's probably going for mass Roaches. Probably. As Roach speed finishes for everyone. But if he is going mass Muta, you need more Hydras. The problem is that Hydras are just simply not as reliable as Roach Ravager. They cannot reposition quickly or easily. And while in a, unit tester scenario, the Roach Hydra army will win, in a much more fluid situation, like we're going to have here, the Roach Ravager is simply better. The Mutas are working on the base in the bottom right corner. A few Hydras will slither by to deal with it. Hydra range is done, but Reynor trying not to hit himself is forced to move his own Roaches, which is a bit awkward to say the least. The Roach Ravager. Whoa. Either side, just volleys of corrosive bile. But then, no, the numbers are clearly not there for Serral. I don't know if there's any light at the end of this tunnel. It's +2 ranged attack. Serral's got 2-2 on the way, but look at the supply. It looks like Reynor is on the board. GG! A well-executed defense, and he turned it around quickly before Serral could do anything about it. Well played. Reynor on the board. The Mutas, I think the right call. The Muta's the easiest way to kind of dictate the pace of the game. They're not usually going to be the winning move, but they put them in check and then follow it up with the mate. So, Reynor takes one. Serral. I don't know if he misread what Reynor was doing, or if it just didn't stack, like Reynor just countered it well enough. But his timing was too late to punish Reynor and his quick lair and his +1 ranged attack. If Serral had hit with like 2/3 of the units, but a minute quicker, I think he breaks through as the There's just simply not... The economy doesn't kick in time. But he is human. Well, he's Zerg, but you get the idea. We'll leave it at that. I've said enough. I mean, I've got to keep talking. That's kind of the whole spiel here. But no, let's just watch the Overlord line. Ooh. Yeah, I like it when you watch. Jimmy, get out Windows Movie Maker and edit that out. No, we're not paying for Windows. Sorry. Bit of a temporal hiccup there. Serral actually scouting. Both players sending their second Overlord to scout down the center path. I have no idea. I don't think I've ever seen ZBZ on this map. Torches with the healing shrine, as well as the mineral walls and the gold base. There's a lot of shenanigans possible. It's a close air distance map, making mutas maybe a bit more valuable, but also a bit more predictable. We got the Zerg rocks down the center, which are not associated with anyone involved. They get dehydrated and bleed out, or whatever it is. They die after 8 minutes or so, unless you actually bring creep to them to rehydrate them. You can't heal them, they just stop dying, which is all any of us can ever do. Like and subscribe for Existential Dread. Couple Zerglings sneaking by. Reynor gonna chase the tail of the first couple lings. A laudable goal, but just looking for a third base right now. Serral already has one himself. Overlord? Not Overlord. Zergling speed is on the way. Baneling nest for Reynor. And Queen just gonna politely yet firmly ask the Overlord to leave. Serral going for the Ling Swell with no Baneling nest. He's gonna cut into his drones to have the Lings and just go straight to a Roach Warren, whereas Reynor will have that Baneling nest and the potential. He's gonna hide the Roach Warren at the back. There's a chance to just get a bunch of damage done. Without Banelings, your micro has to be perfect, and even if it is, that's not always enough. At the same time, because he has a Bane Nest, Reynor doesn't have to build as many Lings. Just use the Bane Nest defensively. The Queen, making sure no peeping Overlords are able to see this. Goes up to the high ground with the Banes. Roach Horn is done. Serral clearly gearing up for a follow-up here. +1 ranged attack starts already. Ooh, oh, blindsided him. A massive Bane hit, at least in the grand scheme of things to start. 14 Zerglings with a single Bane. It doesn't count as units lost when a Baneling hits because it's a unit that succeeded. Unless it was taken out. It's a bit of a quirk of the units lost. Still shows up on the resources, though. That undercuts all Serral's attempts at map control and scouting. I believe he got into the main, but Reynor can just turn it around. He does have a worker lead as well. The Queens, a bit of an awkward position, but with the Roaches out, there's not enough Lings to really chase it down. Overlords? Is this intentional? It's a bit odd to bring several Overlords out like that. He doesn't have a lair, right? Now, Overlords have a tendency to kind of do their... he's just scouting. But still, very tenuous for both sides. Serral down 10 workers. But he's going to have the +1 ranged attack. No lair. Banelings hidden beneath the cliff there. A few more drones taken out by Zerglings. Many of the Zerglings cut down by the roaches on the way out, but still. Serral now getting a lair behind and adding on some drones. So using the +1 ranged attack as the big obstacle here to keep Reynor at bay. Reynor, I guarantee you, already knows that Serral has +1 attack. He has to take this very seriously. He knows the roach count is high. He's building some roaches of his own. Not being intimidated too much. Will get a lair. +1 carapace. This is one of those not really Cold War style ZVZs, but just the early skirmishes slowly building up into something much more dramatic. The economy is now getting more and more capable. I was gonna say large, but still relatively small amount of drones for this stage of the game. Baneling tries to break through. The Zerglings can take advantage. Takes a couple more drones down. Still in a holding pattern here as both players poke. Serral down 8 drones. Overlord speed on the way. Is he gonna do some sort of creep highway or even a roach drop? Interesting move, because as soon as the lair is done, he unlocks the dropper lords, which is quite... It's going for a 100 upgrade at this stage is a big investment. He needs to get something done with it. +1 roach attack. Sorry, ranged attack, but let's be honest here. As well as roach speed for Reynor. Hydralisk Den already on the way for Serral. Roach speed is what? The Overlords flung out across the map. Looking like a campaign mission over here. Overseer speeds through the main. Scouring. This would be the time to go Spire for Reynor, potential. He doesn't go that direction. He's going to be nearly maxed out on Mass Roach despite all of the shenanigans at like 8 minutes. That Stefano style that almost predates Reynor himself. Not quite, but you know. 200 supply of roaches with a few Ravagers mixed in for disgusting flavor. Meanwhile, Serral +1 ranged attack done. Reynor's going to hold until he finishes these upgrades, or at least wants to start the fight and have him kick in mid-fight. Can he break through? Serral still has a lot of roaches in production. It's going to be an upgrade advantage to Reynor. He breaks forward. The corrosive bile splits at the last moment, forcing Serral back up his own ramp and shoving forward on both fronts. Backs off the natural, but jumps on the third. And the corrosive bile is actually landing, take out one of the Ravagers. And Reynor using the crowbar of the Ravagers to pry the bases just wide open. And inside, 2 Gs. And match point again. We're going to the ace match as Reynor holds it together and knocks Serral out. A decisive and incredibly well executed timing, bringing us to yet another game. ZVZ is always so thin on the margins. Serral probably expecting the mutas, I'd say, once again. At least, he already had a Hydra Den, and that did not kick it. That's a big investment. Hydra Den and Overlord speed? And neither of them came into the game. Those are hundreds of resources, especially gas, that he could have used to defend and, you know, not die. But, do or die. Game number 5. In the top right corner, the Italian Stallion. We have Reynor up against the finisher. It's Serral. In the bottom left in the red. Everything on the line. The closest anyone has come to knocking Serral out of the World Cup. Reynor again. God, ZVZ is so volatile. That first Bane hit set the tone. Like, you don't want to blame it all on the Baneling. The Baneling would like to take credit. Alright, but it only did one thing. One very important thing, but still. Been living off that since high school. But if coach just let me bust in the fourth quarter. Okay, no, Jimmy. Windows Movie Maker. And that's why, imagine players... Well, it's not hard to imagine. Just remember playing yourself. All 16 of you in the last year. Just think back. 10 years ago. 2004. But... if players of this caliber... It's two sides. One, higher level players are much more likely to take a small advantage and turn it to a large one very quickly. But at the same time... lower level players are more likely to make big mistakes that spiral out of control. And that is part of why mirror matchups are kind of less than loved by most players. Is Zerg versus Zerg, Protoss versus Protoss especially, but also Terran versus Terran. Just a couple small mistakes early. Your opponent has the same exact units. They might have the same economy. They just have more. That could easily be an insurmountable advantage. Yes, at a lower level, you usually have more time and opportunity to fall back. But again, the volatility is there. I think part of the reason is any player near the top or near pro level knows what timings they have. They know when their opponent is at a disadvantage. It's just most players aren't reliable enough mechanically to take full advantage. And especially for Zerg. That is so important. Like that larva management, that drone transfer timing, that mineral efficiency. In a mirror matchup especially. And you can see the production tab. It's a mirror matchup, alright. Here we go again. Both players with the early Bane Nest. This is the first time, I think... Oh, the first time they both got a Bane Nest right off the bat. There's usually been a bit of hedging. Maybe a few extra Zerglings or a quicker Roach Warren. Speaking of, Serral. Already with the Roach Warren behind it. Both of them showing the Bane Nest at the front. But hiding some of the rest of the tech. Well, not Reynor. So this is a mind game in and of itself. Serral with a Roach Warren snuck at the back. Reynor with a Roach Warren at the front, but an Evo chamber much earlier at the back of his base. So they're both hiding their actual move by showing the most obvious one. The Zergling, it gets in. Baneling, scouting forth. Both players, well, the Zergling didn't get in far enough to scout the evolution chamber. So... That was the most important info, and he did not get it. So neither player going to be completely in the know, but they can have very strong suspicions. Queen. No, would you move? Oh my... Susan, they won't stop. I mean... They're Zerglings. You know how they work. Yes, but it's very rude. Oh, Brenda. Let's get you back to creep. Sorry. Roaches streaming across the map. Serral down 10 lurkers. He's got 8 roaches, 26 Zerglings. Knocking on the door. There's plenty of roaches to answer. Reynor, definitely with more economy, but the Zerglings get into the main. Undercutting all of this. He's going to have to pull the drones off the line. Loses one. Pulls some more out of position. Now... Wait. Reynor canceled his +1 to deal with this. Oh, no. I mean, he thought it was an existential threat. Serral, it's a fake. I mean, maybe Serral would have gone for it if he saw the opportunity. But Serral selling this so hard that Reynor canceled his key upgrade in order to build units to defend. And now, Serral has caught up economically. Reynor has to restart the +1, which hurts a lot. It's not that expensive, but when 1 or 2 roaches can make the difference, you can see the reasoning. Like, just last game, Serral ended up losing in no small part because he invested a little bit too much too early. Reynor doesn't want to make that. In canceling upgrades, you get the full price back. But you don't get time back. None of us do. Like and subscribe for Existential Dread. Baneling smashes. Can tell the tension. Neither player. Reynor pulling the trigger on the cancel and then having to pull back into it. Serral not committing to the all-in, but now a big follow-up. Does he not have a lair? This is a hatch tech all-in. Oh, if he had +1 attack, Reynor would be so far ahead. Even against +1 carapace, but he doesn't. He has 8 more drones. He has multiple spine crawlers ready to hold the line. But here comes Serral with a Roach Ravager. More army supply. +1 carapace versus no upgrades at all. And a whole bunch of banelings ready to bust through. The front lines of Reynor will have to be thinned out. The banelings rolling in, allowing Serral to focus on the smaller groups of roaches. And another wave of corrosive bile clips the Ravager on the way out, but Reynor collapses on the army. Serral trickling through some more Zerglings, but so far not enough to turn the tide. Just stands his ground. Corrosive bile not going to find it. Serral struggling to break through, and now Reynor has the supply lead. +1 ranged attack will now be done for real for Reynor. Recognizing his opportunity, and the concave was just too damn good. That Overlord, seen its life flash before its eyes, but 4 corrosive biles are required, not just 3. Roach speed is going to be done way quicker, as Serral did not... Way quicker for Reynor, as Serral did not have a lair. Oh, completely shuts the door on the Zerglings at the natural. And right now, Reynor's up 40 supply. The lair is only halfway done. Serral in dire straits. He did the follow-up timing, trying to take advantage, but Reynor held his ground and played incredibly efficiently. He's lost 1,000 less minerals. That lack of lair is going to come back and bite him. In fact, that lack is about to come across the map and bite him. The Zerglings will cut off some of the reinforcements. +1 carapace, a little bit helpful here. The spine crawlers now for Serral on defense. Corrosive biles thrown up like an unruly frat party on either side. Zerglings wrap around the back. The spine crawlers finish mid-fight. More corrosive bile in the midst of everything. And Reynor... Well, the spine's helping a lot. The Zerglings thinning out the ranks and holding things down. And I think Reynor may have dug too deep and too greedily. He did exactly the same thing. He thought he might have a killing blow. He tried to shove in, and Serral, with a better concave, better reinforcements, and just the defender's advantage in general, holds the line. Reynor squanders a significant supply lead. Can we see? Serral destroyed 36 roaches to 11. 4 Ravagers to 1. It's a disaster for the Italian Stallion. Oh, that went so much worse than I thought it would. The Zerglings really showing how valuable they are as just essentially roach fodder. They're not going to do a lot of damage, but they keep them from moving, and they force a lot of the attacks to not be focused where they need to be. I'm breaking the critical mass of Roach Ravager. And now Serral, dead even on supply. Not on workers, though. The tech is still somewhat in favor of Reynor. Serral catches up. There's a changeling hidden. I don't even know if you can see it. Like, if you don't have health bars on, like, Serral does not have that timer. In the Serral cam, it doesn't show up the same way, but the changelings only have the timer for observers. I don't mean the Protoss unit, I mean us right now. He's gonna see the Spire finish. Serral gets a sneaky... This time it's not even a real Zergling. It's a wannabe Zerg. It's a beautiful alternative Zergling. By today. Overlord taken down. 4 mutas in production. Will Reynor get a 5th one to make sure he can one-shot drones, or... There's a Hydralisk done for Serral. Still so much. Despite having so much info, both players are still working off of the few, you can't know what's in the eggs until it pops out. You can take some educated guesses, but it could have been all mutas for Reynor and a bunch of Zerglings. So Serral has to build the Hydras because the mutas are too much of a threat. At the same time, if it was all Roach Ravager, he might just get overrun. In fact, Reynor's going to try that right now. He has +2 ranged attack against 1/1, which is a very workable situation. Dodges out of the Corrosive Bile. Not that many Ravagers for Reynor, and the Hydras, with enough space to work with, they have range, and they're working off defensive creep. But Reynor still has way more money in the bank. Not that much gas to work with. The quick, will they, won't they, of the Corrosive Bile. Back and forth. Throws up the bile, and both sides back off before it can land. Oh, fountaining in. And Serral actually slides to the north side. He finished his +2 attack and chose that moment before Reynor really reacted to it. He's going to have to back off. Serral lost a couple more Overlords to the mutas that have been roaming around. These Overlords in a uncomfortable position, and now Reynor will be supply blocked at 200 over 192. Infestation pit on the way as he heads towards the hive. The Hydra is also ping cushioning the Overlords. Reynor with the much more mobile composition, but wait, I take it back. Serral is the one with burrow move, though he doesn't have burrow, which is always awkward. Just a fancy skin until it completes. But Reynor will have to respect it. More Roach Ravager down the natural. Serral on paper has the better army. But with map control, Reynor, well, he actually gets caught here. Looking on the other side of things, is Serral chasing down with the tunneling roaches of his own. Easily going to take out the hatchery to the right side. Burrows his way back. Past the mutas. They can see the roach sign, but there's not much they can do about it. I don't even think the mutas would be able to kill roaches while they're burrowed underground with that extra regen. Both sides going for hive. A lurker den is on the way for Serral. A Hydra den just started for Reynor. He's lost so much of the initiative. He's lost so much of the tech advantage. I'm searching for what Reynor does have now. I'm still looking. The roaches and hydras will chase down. There's enough roaches on the left side to prevent an expansion there as well. Serral pops a few of the mutas, trying to break through. How many times has each of these players fallen onto the spine crawlers and been taken out? But Serral shoving forward. The Hydra's on the back line, providing that additional DPS. Has to be so careful not to get completely surrounded here. Oh, a bit of an awkward position. He went past his own wall, and now Reynor going to be cut off in a prison of his own design. The corrosive bile is still being thrown up. Reinforcements coming in, but Serral's at 200 supply. Reynor struggling. Serral going to regen all his roaches underground. He's going to take a 5th base. Lurker range is on the way. Lurker den not even done for Reynor. Serral with the advantage there. I keep forgetting I have to describe that they're both Zerg, so therefore we should delineate. The roaches and ravagers trying to break through, not enough. Tunneling claws taken out on the left. But Serral piling everything into the breach. Once more. Ravagers on the way. Lurker range. Now for Reynor. Oh, beautiful corrosive bile. Serral with the lurkers at point blank. They're right outside the base. He wants to take advantage from the moment they complete. Reynor's just now building the hydras to get the lurkers. A whole bunch of roaches on the left side. Repartitioning units. Reynor cannot afford to be caught out of position once, especially with the lurkers to take full advantage. The lurkers are moving up, and Reynor tunneling claws is on the way for his own roaches. Oh, this is a tough fight. Corrosive bile Maneuvers 1. The Roach Warren itself is under fire. Reynor's losing so much before the fight even starts. The Roach Warren is dead. Serral closing in. Baneling Nest. That was pretty obsolete at this point. The Nidus Network. And Reynor gonna go into a desperation-based trade. But is it really a trade if your opponent already knows it's happening before it started? And he's ransacking yours with everything on the line. Reynor has to abandon his base and go for the other side. And Serral might be suffering from success. He has so many units on the other side of the map that he just doesn't have much at home to defend. Reynor will break through. The chances of him actually being able to turn this around are... He's throwing a few mutas in production. The drones didn't run far enough away. Reynor scrambling to get damage done. Lurkers are burrowed in the main. Drones being slaughtered on either side. The mutas, there's a tiny chance if he gets enough mutas and takes out the Hydra, then there'll be no anti-air left. The drones crossing each other in the middle of the map. Don't know if attacking the drones is what you want to do, Reynor, but he's going to take out pretty much all of Serral's mining. The muta count, just 2 of them. And honestly, there'd have to be literally 0 Hydras. Reynor is completely gutted. Wait, that's the last building? He has a hatchery on the way. That's it. There's no other buildings. Reynor has 1 building left in this tournament. And I don't think that's quite enough. The lurkers. He's got the drones to try to box out as much as he can. More lurkers. GG! WP! Serral turns it around multiple times and lays down 3 to Reynor's 2. And it feels like pretty much every game, Reynor at least had an advantage somewhere. At some point. But Serral, he might bend. But he refuses to break. And the patience, enough. I think Reynor just, again, the cliche of any other Zerg would have died. Any other player under that level of pressure. But Serral knew exactly where his advantages were. And the longer the game goes on, clearly, the more he's able to use them. Reynor coming up just ever so short. And Serral survives. Hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did. If you got the means and motivation, it'd be amazing. Check out Patreon, YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. Thank you to EWC 2025, the World Cup, for these incredible games. Thank you for watching. Thank you to our Mule Tier patrons, bringing in the extra minerals, Big Jig, Devin, Door, Kate, Mario, Random Guy in Suit, and everyone. I hope I made your day just a little bit better. Congratulations to Serral, though it's clear he can be beaten. But hard enough. Reynor with an incredible effort. But hopefully you tune in next time. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.